There could be many reasons why progress is slow for you in the gym, simply because many people will be at different stages in the journey or their training journey. And I don't know exactly what are the interfering factors for you personally right now. However, there will be some common limiting factors, and I will unpack three of these a little bit in this video. The first limiting factor is your poor adherence to the number one training principle, which is progressive overload. To utilize progressive overload properly, you need to lift more weight, but this is not possible infinitely. You will have to overload in some other ways, like doing more reps at a certain weight, doing more work, sometimes doing less work and increasing recovery time. You can also play around with rest times and training capacity. There are other ways and more specific to each movement, but that's outside the scope of this video. The overall best way to get more weight on the bar or an exercise is to develop better technique. In my opinion, this is a common limiting factor because most people just won't know how to improve technique. To develop better technical skill, we have to utilize a concept called entering the tunnel. How well you enter the tunnel will dictate how well you exit the tunnel. We must think about what is the best possible setup and start positions to enter the tunnel. In relation to exercise, the better we set up for our lifts and the better start positions we have, the better the bar path or execution will be. Overall, your positioning will lead to progressive overload on any given lift. Like when you get to certain numbers and weights, you're not going to lift it if you're not lifting it well. That's just it. The second common limiting factor is that people will totally violate the principle of repeated exposure. Repeated exposure leads to adaptation, which leads to increased strength and muscle mass. Stick to the core lifts and repeat them each week for years. Stop switching it up and stop trying stuff out that is mostly a waste of time. Ask yourself this question when selecting an exercise. How well can I load this exercise? If the answer is I can't load it very well or poorly, then don't do it. Lastly, what I come across that is limiting people's progress is their ability to recover, or lack of in this case. This will be a combination of poor sleep, poor food intake, too much indulgence in interfering habits like alcohol, caffeine, and fast food. If you are not giving your body quality recovery time or providing it with the highest quality raw materials to recover with, then going to the gym is like sailing into a storm. You won't get anywhere. Whereas adopting optimal recovery habits will have your training feeling like you're keeping the wind in your sails.